Hello everybody, it's me John, aka Knowlsy, and I'm here for my own TFNation 2024 questions video. I've already done a response to Tony's. I will be doing a response to Rodimus Minor, Chris and Tim. They also did some as well. So I will be doing a response to them as well in due course. But I want to get mine out there as well because I also do question videos in relation to TFN as well around about this time of year. My own questions. So here we go. Without any further ado, let's get into this. So, question number one is, what are you most looking forward to this year? This could be in relation to anything in particular. It could be simply to, meet your friends, catch up with people, or it could be something on the schedule, something that you would love to see. I know the schedule has yet to be announced. That usually happens much closer to the time. But for what's already been announced, there will be panels for all the guests that have been announced thus far as well. So what is it you are looking forward to the most for 2024 TFNation? So I will answer my own questions as well, of course. So what am I looking forward to the most? Well, of course, it goes, it has to be said, it's TFNation. I look forward to it each and every year. There's multiple reasons why I go. One reason, the most important reason, is the people. I go and I look forward to meeting up with people I haven't seen for an entire year, and I haven't seen most of them for an entire this time around because I didn't go to Minicon earlier on in the year, and some of the regulars go to that as well as the main one. So I haven't seen anybody for, by the time August comes round, I haven't seen anyone for an entire year. So that is first and foremost my favourite thing, is to catch up with the people. And of course, panels. I love meeting the voice actors. So I'm very much looking forward to meeting David Kay as well, because I haven't seen him for quite a few years. So David Kay is definitely on the bill, and Charles Michael Hill as well. I'm looking forward to whatever he's got in store as well, and meeting him. Question number two. What guests are you most looking forward to meeting this year? So, of course, this is kind of in relation to question one, in a way, but this is a separate question. So, which of the guests that have been announced, special guests been announced thus far for TFNation 2024, are you most looking forward to? Of course, I've just already kind of answered this question in my answer for question one. So, for me personally, I am most looking forward to meeting David Kay, is it Charles Michael Hill? If I have butchered his name, I apologise. And of course, the voice actors is always voice actors are definitely what is one of the draws, and also Simon Fairman as well. I'm very much looking forward to seeing Simon Fairman, because he hasn't been to TFNation for at least 2 years, maybe going on for 3. When August comes around, it probably could be 3 years. Question number 3. Now, because I like to include stuff for the regulars that have been going for many years, and also I like to kind of put stuff in there that are more for the people that have never been, first timers, and there will almost certainly be first timers going. So question number 3 is asking, what, for those that are brand new, for the newbies, for the first timers going this year to TFNation 2024, they've never been before. And what advice would you give a newbie? What advice would you give a newbie that is going for the first time this year? So my advice to anyone that is new, any newbies, would be mingle. Just mingle. Go to the bar. I know this is going to be probably echoed with anyone that chooses to respond to this. Go to the bar. even if you don't drink alcohol, if you are somebody that is under the age limit and things under the alcohol, you legally can't drink alcohol, whatever, so on and so forth, depending on your, irrespective of all that stuff. But you don't necessarily have to drink alcohol. You can get a Coke or an orange juice or whatever. Always go into the bar. Go into the main bar, just off the main lobby where you go to, find out where your room is and such when you come in. And just have a walk around. If you see anybody that is playing with toys, go and approach them. The people at TFNation, a lot of the people that go, just the regular attendees, such as myself, are very approachable, incredibly approachable, and will very happily talk about whatever it is you are interested in. Whether, obviously we're all there for a common interest, Transformers, of course, but for the most part, a lot of people have other interests, such as maybe they like to play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, or they might like anime, or they might like comic books, different comic books from different series, or they might like to read books. They might be a big fan of books, whatever, or whatever it is, films, anything. That people will very happily talk to you about anything, whether you're not as well versed with Transformers, you are aware of Transformers, but if you're somebody that is either relatively just recently started to collect, or if your knowledge of Transformers is a bit limited, people will fill you in. People will, you can still get involved in a conversation in some way, talk about something else. You might have a common interest. So the bar is always kind of like the beating heart of TFNation, mostly for the community, for the fans, the people that go. Everybody goes to the bar, not just to drink alcohol, but it's a social area, and it's a safe area, and it's a great way to meet people that, like fellow YouTubers, people such as myself or Tony or whoever that make videos on YouTube. If you recognise us, by all means come and say hello. I'm always happy to say hello to a new person or someone that's never been before. So my advice would be, go to the bar and just, if you see anybody, a couple of people at a table that are playing with toys, then go and approach them, and just, it's a good way as well to break the ice. It's a great icebreaker, is when anyone's playing with toys. That is kind of like, I won't say it's an open invitation, but it's a great way to get in there, involved, and maybe potentially make a new friend. So also, I would also say, if you are very, very, if you struggle with, if you have a disorder of some degree, or you struggle with too many people in a room at once, or you're claustrophobic or anything like that, then I would suggest getting in touch with the TFNation crew, and they might be able to give you some tips themselves. You can do that via email or through any of their social media accounts. You can get involved in contact with them, and they will probably try and help you out as best as they can. But I would definitely say to do that as well if you're somebody that struggles, or if you have accessibility issues, like if you're in a wheelchair, things of that nature. That is also a good thing to do, is just get an idea of disability access and things like that, how you would be able to get around, and would you be able to move around freely, and that. Also, another quick thing before I move on to the next question is, I would definitely say, if you're somebody that struggles around a lot of people, like a crowded place, if you're somebody that gets very anxious in a crowded environment, then I would suggest not going for an early morning pass. I would suggest not going for an early bed pass for when the doors first open, because that is when the stampede will happen. and there'll be a lot more people. So I would do it in stages. I would suggest going in stages. Maybe go in after like the first initial hour or so of the doors opening into the dealer room, and then usually about that time it's a little easier for you to move around. It's not as packed. And if you do feel you are getting a little bit overwhelmed, take a break. Go to your room, sit down on the bed, and just have time for yourself to, that kind of thing. So nobody's going to think of you any less if you are somebody that struggles with a crowded space. Take it in stages, take your time, take a break, take multiple breaks so you can gather yourself. So that would be another bit of advice. Question number 4 is asking, for a future TFNation event, what guests would you love to see at a future TFNation? This could literally feature voice actors, artists, writers, anybody that is still alive that has worked on a Transformers property. So what guests would you love to see that has never been to a TFNation thus far, or you've never met before that you would love to meet? Now, I would love Steve Bloom to come back. I know Steve Bloom's already been to he hasn't been to an auto assembly. He hasn't been to a TFNation, but he has been to an auto assembly. So Steve Bloom would definitely be a contender to come back. I would love to see him at TFN. I think he would. I think TFNation, the way TFNation is, I think it would suit him far better than before, when he came before. And I think Steve Bloom would be a great one to get as a voice actor. Also, I've said it many times, it's probably never going to happen. I was going to say Scott McNeil. I'd love to see him come back. I'd love to see Ian James Corlett, because he came to an auto assembly back in 2009, and it was the year that I sadly couldn't make it. Because obviously my first convention was back in 2010. So Ian James Corlett came back in 2009, and he hasn't been to the UK since, I don't think. He certainly hasn't been to a Transformers convention. So if he was up for it, I'd love to meet Ian James Corlett, because he's done voice work in anime as well as other series as well. So I would love to meet him. Also, another guest, thinking off the top of my head. Who can I think of? Of course, I'm going to shoot to the moon, because I know the TFNation crew, you got to be realistic when it comes to TFNation, because how much it's going to cost to get certain guests over, especially if they're an A-list voice actor, very high profile. But I'm going to have to say Frank and Pete, because of course Frank and Pete would be incredible to get as guests for TFNation. They have tried to. They almost got Peter Cullen, or they did have Peter Cullen, but then things unfortunately happened and that fell through. So I feel we probably could easily get. I think we could get Peter, but if you want to get Frank as well, you have to get Frank and Pete together, because they do share the same agent. So it makes it easier to get them both together. But that would be a very, very tall order. But I will put their names out there as well. So yeah, there's a couple names that I will say for now. There's loads of names through my head, but that's my answer for that. So question number 5. Now, I always ask this question. Some people probably won't see the point of it, because I know TFNation is specifically a Transformers convention, but yet they do sometimes put on alternative programming when it comes to panels. And I do know that obviously people are going there for robots. I understand that. But there are times where you will get the odd thing that isn't Transformers related, that there are other stalls that sell stuff that isn't just Transformers. Question number 5, I'm asking the question of, what other lines would you like to see within the dealer room. So for me, I mean, I love my Power Rangers. Of course, I don't have much room for most of the Power Rangers stuff, but I do love my Power Rangers. I like TMNT. So to be honest with you, I always go on whatever interests me at the time. So if I see something, I'm like, oh, I'd love that, then I would buy it, whether it's a Transformer or not. So yeah, I would, that is a question I want to just put out there for general chit chat, really. So there was that one. The sixth question is, what is your favourite pickups and your least favourite pickups? So what over the time of going to TFNation, there has been times where I've bought stuff on impulse and I've never fully appreciated everything I've bought, and I've got rid of them over the years. So, that is a question that I'd like to ask. So I would definitely say one of my favourite pickups from a past convention would probably be I would say probably one of my favourite pickups from a past TFNation. I believe it was of TFNation, but I managed to get a Masterpiece Megatron, normal G1 Megatron when they did the new version, going back at least about 4, maybe 5 years ago. So I managed to pick that up, and I got that. That was actually the last thing I picked up, and it wasn't from the convention itself. It was from a friend of mine that was selling it, but it's still a TFN pickup. So that's probably one of my favourites pickups, and a least favourite pickup off the top of my head is I picked up a figure on impulse, and it was off of Toy Foo's stall. And I don't know why I picked it up. I just picked it up, and I was like, I've never seen this character before. And it turned out to be, I think it was Beast Machines. I think it was from the Beast Machines line, and I believe it was, I think it was a Beast Machines line. But it was Mirage. It was a figure of Mirage, I think it was. And it was this really weird proportioned figure. I can't quite remember what line it was from, but it was certainly from a very different line, and it was the proportions were awful, and it was a very ugly, in my opinion, a very ugly robot mode. So that figure I never fully appreciated, and I ended up just getting rid of it. So there we go. So that is my questions. Thank you very much for watching. If you wish to do a response, please do. It'd be great to get some responses to these as well as what's already out there. I will be doing another video response. I'll be doing a questions video to the questions asked by Chris and Tim very soon. Yes, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves, and I will hopefully see you at TFNation. Bye-bye.